The following podcast contains spoilers, adult language, and listen up. I don't know how this works exactly, but he said that you were always listening. And if you can hear this, initiate phase 2.
This is a message from the Office of Emergency Preparedness. Due to the recent crisis, we ask that you remain in your homes. Do not attempt to communicate or interact with the creatures, even if they are people you know.
Lock your doors. Bar your windows. Evil is coming. It's time for Aim for the Head, a horror apocalypse entertainment podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Diana and Steve.
Hi, welcome back to Aim for the Head podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Steve.
We are so excited, but can't believe that we're already here discussing the season 2 finale of Fallout. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I feel like this was like the quickest, we're going to call it 9 weeks because we're a week late talking about the finale, but even so, it was a quick 8 weeks getting those episodes out. I feel like it just, before you knew it, here we are.
Absolutely. Just zipped right by. As long as January was. Because January, I think this year was about 93 days.
I've heard stories that it was almost a year. The January was almost a year long.
Well, you get up every morning, you look at your device or something, and it would say, Tuesday, January 43rd, and you're like, that how can that be? But it was just unending. Yet, despite that, this show just flew by.
To an end eventually, and it's I had the opposite feeling. I would wake up and look at my device, and it would say, Tuesday, January 12th. And then I'd wake up 4 days later and it would say Tuesday, January 12th. Again, I feel like it was literally we weren't moving forward. Or it would say 12.7. No. Today's 12.7. Yeah.
12.7. It was very Groundhog Day-ish.
Groundhog Day-ish. So folks, if you are new to us, first of all, I'm sorry. Second of all,
me too. I'm very
sorry.
Sorry.
Before we get into our deep dives for the episode, we'll usually just really quick, rapid fire, quick off the cuff. How did we feel about the episode we just watched? And Steve, you went first in the last episode, so it is my turn to go first. So my quick thoughts on the finale for season 2 for Fallout. I really liked it. There were a couple of things that I felt that I wanted them to do more of. I wanted them to sort of marinate in the moments a little bit more. But overall, I'd say I was really pleased with where they went, what we saw, what things were revealed, and things like that. Overall, really pleased with this episode. I would say, in terms of ranking, again, not my favorite episode of the season, but it still did wrap up a lot of different things and then pose new questions for season 3 and piqued my curiosity for some things that I would like to see resolved in season 3, hopefully. So, but generally speaking, good episode. So how did you feel? How did you feel about the season finale?
I think pretty similar along the things you just said. I thought for a season finale, it was really good in that it resolved enough stuff to satisfy you, yet it did what usually all episodic series do, where it just moved the goalposts. Yeah. To set up next season, right? I mean, I don't really think there was too many of us out there that was really expecting Coop to find his family in this episode, right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's a good
like
example.
Somehow,
yes.
Yeah, deep down, I think we all kind of figured they're probably not going to be where he thinks they are because the show is not ending. We already know they're already filming season 3, and I just have a hard time finding the ghoul doing anything after he finds his family, right? So it was things like that I appreciated, that they kind of, like I said, they answered enough stuff that I felt okay, it wasn't lost ish, that nothing is ever explained or answered, but they still kept us, with the idea of, well, there's still more to
Right.
do. And so yeah, so I'm looking for, I think it left me, now I'm like, well, now I need to see the next season. Please hurry up and get here. So that's always good, right? That means the show worked, that it's got my juices flowing to find out more. I need to find out what
Right.
happens next. And so yeah, so overall I liked it. My only criticism, I guess, would be that it really seemed to me like Norm gets the short end of the stick on this show, because I mean his stuff was so much like shoehorned here and
Yes.
there and really quick, and not, I mean, it's just like, oh, okay, wait, that, and then it's done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. But again, I think it's sort of, they only had, there's only so much time in an episode, and they didn't want to go all Stranger Things and, have the season finale be 7 hours
Right.
long. So they just, kind of did what they
Yeah.
had to do. So yeah, overall though, I really liked it. I thought there was some funny parts to it. But I think overall it was much more serious than previous
Yes.
episodes, and but still, it was very enjoyable. So I'm looking forward to getting
Yeah.
into it.
So yeah, so before we get into our details of the episode, we usually will remind everybody of the episode that you just watched by giving you just a quick episode description, and then we'll discuss the writer and the director. Now, this episode description might take a little while, so if you're driving somewhere, it's going to take a little bit longer, a little bit more time out of your podcasting day. If you're waiting for something to happen, and I'm just saying, carve out some time for this episode description. So yeah, Steve, why don't we get started with episode description and writer director? So take it away.
All right. Well, yeah, once again, just to reiterate, this is the Amazon Prime series Fallout. This is episode 2.8, and the title is The Strip, which, boy, teenage boys everywhere, I'm sure, were very disappointed when they actually watched this episode, right? Going,
That's
hey,
not what I was
that's
expecting.
that is false advertising. This is as bad as when I watched that movie Naked Lunch. Anyway, this was the season finale, and again, it's called The Strip. And the episode description that we have is you just gotta love these guys, because the episode description writers, whether it's AI or human, they really are just like, what's the minimum we could possibly write and still kind of get a
Yeah.
sentence. So, what we have is winning might be overrated.
Oh.
And for those of you playing the drinking game, if you had the ghoul, oh, you're the winner, because the ghoul said that in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
So, yeah, that's our episode description. And I think if you go back and like, go to IMDb and just read the episode descriptions, they're all, I mean, they tell you
Yes.
nothing. So they literally just, they pick like a line of dialogue seemingly, and put it in there. I mean, you can kind of look at this one and go, well, okay, like winning is overrated. Like, what did Lucy, did she win? Well, she stopped her dad, but did she really
Yeah.
win? Little things like that, right? That you could kind of say relate to the episode, but it certainly doesn't give someone who's coming in and has no idea what's going on, what the show's about. You read it, you have no clue what happens
Right.
in this episode. So that's what they did.
Yeah.
That's what we got. Anyway, moving along, we have our writer and our director, and it's a new writer and a old standby director. So we'll start with the writer, which is the new, and that it's a gal named Carrie Dornetto, and she is a co-executive producer of Fallout, which is not surprising. Almost everybody that's a writer this year seemingly is a executive producer, showrunner, or producer. So they obviously have their writing team of all these people that are making the show. Her credits, she has quite a few. She was a producer on the show Portlandia. She was a showrunner on Arrested Development, which was a very funny show from Fox, if you remember that one from a few years back. She was a writer for the show Aquafina is Nora from Queens, which was on Comedy Central, which was a great show. She was a producer on Community, which was a great, great show on NBC. She wrote several episodes of Superstore, which is probably where she met a lot of the folks that are involved in Fallout, because a lot of people from Superstore have come over and worked on this show. And she was also a writer for South Park. She wrote several episodes, and I did not go in and click on which ones, because South Park literally has like 40 seasons, and I'm just like, no, it's too hard to get into. So, and she also wrote back in season 1 of Fallout, she wrote episode 1.6, which was entitled The Trap. So she wrote that episode of the show last season as well. So that is our writer. And then our director, and this is a dude that's been heavily involved with Fallout. This is the 5th episode that this gentleman has directed of the show, and his name is Frederick, and then it's E.O., the initials E.O., and then Toy. I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name. And so, yeah, again, he directed 2 episodes last season. He directed The Trap, the same one that Carrie Dornetto wrote last season. And then he also directed episode 1.7, which was the very next episode, and that was entitled The Radio, if you guys remember that from last year. And then this season, he directed episode 2.1 and 2.2, which was The Innovator and, of course, The Golden Rule, right? We know where that is, MFer. Right. And then he directed this one, The Strip, as well. So he's done 5 episodes of Fallout. And again, like we've mentioned a lot in the previous times he's popped up this season, the dude is a working director, over the last 15, 20 years, a lot of shows. You can IMDb him. He directed 3 episodes of The Boys. He directed 2 episodes of The Terminal List. He directed 4 episodes of the HBO series Shogun. He directed, I mentioned this previously, 2 episodes of The Walking Dead, and they were both the bonus episodes we got, the COVID bonus ones with the Reapers. He directed 11.3, which was entitled Hunted, which I believe I mentioned it's the one where the people start out looking for the Reapers, and then the other storyline is a lot of the women go out looking to find where all the horses ran away to.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then the very next episode, 11.4, which was entitled Rendition, and I believe that's where Daryl is taken by the Reapers, and then he runs back into his ex-girlfriend, Leah, and they have the whole flashbacky thing of them together, and then they have to, don't you remember the guy sets the room on fire and all that stuff happens. So those two, it was like 2 Reaper intensively heavy episodes he directed of the Walking Dead, and again a ton of other shows, because he's a total a working director over the last 20, 25 years, 15, 25 years, whatever. So lots and lots of experience. And again, just like most of the season, I thought the 2 of them did a really good job. It was well written, and I think the director really put together a good episode. There's a lot of action in this episode. And I thought he did a good job of structuring it, so he cut away at good points. The Norm stuff aside, I don't think he had much of a choice. With Norm just got the short side of the stick every time, so there's nothing he can do about that. Sorry, Norm, but yeah. So I liked him. So that is our writer and our director.
Wow. There you go. All right, so let's jump into our thoughts on the episode. And our first conversation point will be great because we both, for our number 1, included quotes from the same scene from the opening, the cold open, which was the ongoing the Legion fighting the Legion battle, which of course comes to a conclusion finally And, in order, yours kind of happens first. So let's chat about your line, and then which leads into mine. So.
Well, first of all, we just have to say, I mean, we get more
It's
Macaulay
pretty
Culkin.
awesome. I appreciate the
It's
inclusion of the Culk.
Yes, it was very amazeballs when he showed up again. I'm like, oh, that's so cool that it wasn't just like a one-off kind of a thing with him. And based on how this episode ended, there's a really good chance we're gonna see him again. But yeah, we they finally cut back because if you remember, the ghoul goes and gives the location of the NCR to get Lucy back, and then he, because I'm guessing because of his affiliation with her, he decides he has to do something, and I'm just throwing up a bit in the back of my mouth when I say this. Good, that he sets off like the kegs or casks of gunpowder or dynamite or whatever it was, and this kind of sparks the two factions into just full on war, right, where they just start shooting and fighting, and they were kind of in like a Cold War kind of a stalemate setup there,
Yes.
where they're the two sides and they're kind of staring at each other, and nobody will let anybody go look at the corpse where the little note is that from the dead Caesar that it supposedly has the name of the successor on there and so on. And so we finally get back to that, and they're just still going at it. The war is still going on and fighting, and Macaulay Culkin's character is able to get up the hill where the corpse is, and he drags it back to his side, and he kind of gets a chance to examine it, and he gets the note and opens it up, and it's I mean, I kind of knew this because this is in the game, but it still is awesome. That the note, which is supposed to indicate which one of the knuckleheads that are part of the separate groups of the legions is supposed to take over, and what the note actually says is, "I am Caesar." And then the next line says, "I am the Legion." And then the final bit goes, "It ends with me."
I love it too because you're such a nice person for actually saying "I am Caesar," because really Kaiser
yes.
is what you should be saying.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
the comedy of the Kaiser Caesar thing just is never ending, to the point where it shows when he says, "Long live the Kaiser," right? It says Caesar in the subtitles, but it says in parentheses pronounced Kaiser, and I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And again, just I loved it because it is a gaming point that they held true to the way in the Fallout New Vegas game goes. That is what the note says.
It's so great.
So that was really cool, and so I guess Macaulay Culkin decides to take it on his own. Like, well, I guess I'll be Caesar. So he kills like the Caesar guy, the would-be Caesar who is in control of his faction, and then he takes the crown off the corpse and crowns himself, and then walks out as just like, "I'm here.
It is I,
and
Kaiser."
And then that leads into your line, because he then kind of rallies the Legion around to let them know what the new marching orders are.
And it's great because they've been fighting for so long that all of these Legion they just want direction, is really what they want. They want direction, they want a place to go, they want something specific to fight other than each other, and they literally, as soon as he steps out, they're already like so excited, and he just has like the gold band around his head, and they're all so excited. He puts his hands up and calms them down, and he says, "Together we will reclaim the Holy Land that they call Vegas." And there's, cheering. And he continues and says, "There we'll build a palace worthy of our empire. Kaiser's Palace. Now to New Vegas." And let me tell you, people, if you weren't peeing your pants laughing at Kaiser's Palace, then I don't know who you are anymore. It's just so, hanging on to, like, the joke, like, keeping it going, keeping it going, keeping it going is great. It's so wonderful. And there was something else I noticed in that scene too, which is like, interspersed between his little lines he throws out there. Obviously, he's rallying the troops literally, and they are getting all excited, and they're doing a lot of like chanting and cheering. But if you listen to what they're like, hoorah, hoorah, it's very that's the Marines. The Marines say hoorah. So it's almost like they're borrowing from a couple of different things because they're not original, because they're all inspired by kind of so much so that they they're generations removed and don't know that the CAE of Caesar is pronounced with the soft C and not the hard C. So it was just interesting to see some more levels of borrowing from other groups and other groups of soldiers and things from the past. So yeah, that opening was just hilarious, from everything that New Kaiser did all the way down to his speech to the troops. It was just fantastic. Great cold open.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I just on a personal note, I myself have actually visited Kaiser's Palace in Vegas, so I highly recommend it. It's pretty cool.
I've never been, but now I feel this sudden urge to see and then just step in. And if I say out loud, "Behold, Kaiser's Palace," I wonder if there'll be people that will understand and laugh, and it'll be great.
Well, I unfortunately, for the people who work at Kaiser's Palace right now, I am sure that this is quickly going to become like Pee-wee's Big Adventure and the Alamo, where everybody, of course, shows up and asks where the basement is in the Alamo, right? Because that was from Pee-wee's, the movie. That's where the bike was hidden. I think they've probably by this point, and this episode has only been out for, like a month or two, they probably already have so many people that walk into the lobby and go, "Behold, Kaiser's Palace." So yeah, I am sure that they get that already. So, but by all means, do it.
I think you're trying to tell me not to.
No, I do it. Do it.
Okay, so all right, that clears up our number ones. Let's talk about your number two. Because just timeline wise, your point came next.
Yeah, just staying in sequence there. And that's this is usually one of my points every week is the opening credit when it actually flashes Fallout onto the screen, because they've just been really creative and fun all season, and they kind of incorporate into what we've just seen or maybe what we're going to see. It just really depends. And this time, like the Fallout logo, it's like you're looking at the screen of a Pip-Boy. And it's almost like the Pip-Boy's turned on, and you hear it like the kind of the whirring and the clicking of like the disk drive of the Pip-Boy, and you kind of get that that kind of sound, and it's kind of doing all that, and it's got the greenish color that the Pip-Boys have, and then it just says Fallout, and that I mean that's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. But because if you think about it, and I think this was more of a foreshadowing kind of a title sequence rather than bringing up something we just saw in the opening scene, because Pip-Boys feature very, very very heavily in this story, whether it's the Ghoul having to wear a special Pip-Boy, or Stephanie finally opening up Hank's keepsakes box, and there is like the Enclave Pip-Boy there that she finds. So Pip-Boys do come into play here quite substantially for the story. So I thought it was really cool. Like, did you think that was interesting, or were you kind of just like, oh?
Visually, I thought it was great because it's not really an image they've kind of used so far. It's mostly been, we've mostly had a lot of like just the words, but with like some artistic stuff slapped onto the letters, as opposed to this, which is the letters are actually appearing inside the Pip-Boy. which was inside the screen of the Pip-Boy. And then you got all the stuff around it, which was cool. It was very different from what we've seen so far. Yeah, I mean, it figures very prominently in this episode, and more so as the episode wears on. Like the more, between, the special one that Coop is wearing, the one from Robert House, and, and Lucy's got hers on, and da-da-da-da. Like it figures prominently in this episode. So, it was a cool inclusion for sure, and says a lot about this episode as well. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's cool. So, my number 2 is Steve is laughing because of the way I wrote out my the quote. So we get I wanted to talk about the Lucy finds, Lucy, at the end of the last episode discovers senator or representative. I think she's not a senator, she's like a U.S. rep. Representative Marsh, and she Welch. Did I do that again? I go, good Lord.
You did. And last time, but you said Walsh several times. It's like, I don't know, you have some sort of mental barrier against Welch.
Now but, because of this image, I'm never gonna.
I know.
So anyway.
That's right. I mean, I don't know. Did you have like a bad experience in Glendale once or something, and you just are like, ugh, I don't know, but yeah, you do keep messing that up. But it's Representative Welch. No, Welch.
Like Welchers.
There's no there's no S. It's not SH. It's CH.
Okay, cool. So she discovers her at the end of last episode. It's just her head, and
it's one of my favorite Cure songs, The Head in the Jar.
Right. Why wouldn't it be? And the way it was left last episode, you're like, okay, she's kind of hooked up to the machine. She's hooked up to the, you could see all the stuff, but there's no, we didn't know, like, is this just like a, suspended animation? Is she still alive? Is there, like, you don't know. Now.
Well, and we should point out too that she's wearing like the Back to the Future weirdo helmet with all the wires that House was wearing earlier, and clearly like the head is like plugged in to all these banks of the computers with the like reel-to-reel tape. It's like the ancient early version of computers that took up the size of a warehouse building, and the computing power of like your phone.
It looks like a scene out of War Games. If you're familiar with how that looked, with like, as soon as they started to do stuff, and the reel-to-reels would start to spin, so that you knew something was happening.
Yes.
So it sort of visually gives you that feeling, and so Lucy comes forward and very innocently asks the question on all of our minds, which is, "Are you alive?" Which is,
well, She reaches, like she's gonna touch the head or one of the wires, and then like the head like opens its eyes and makes the noise, and then she's like, "Oh, are you alive?"
And then I thought the way that the actress who was playing Welch has been doing it since day one. She's got a really, like, very annoying voice, and she's always been talking, and I'm here to talk about the soldiers, and I don't take money, and all, you know what I mean? So they already set it up so that her voice that she uses and the way that she speaks, this character, not the actress, so calm down. I'm talking about the way she chose her character to be, is annoying. It's an annoying voice. But then to get that voice, that tone, "Are you alive?" But it's take that and add like there's like this robotic twang to it because it's being processed through, you have to assume all those machines that are rolling around right behind you, right?
Yeah.
So to take that annoying voice, and the reason why Steve is laughing is we've got like a shared document with all our notes on, and you can see that I just wrote out, the letter U, the letter H, and then H goes on for like 12 characters, and then a couple of N's, so that it's
Yep.
but it's a
Yep.
great
Yep.
sequence. So, Are You Alive? You know, Representative Welch with her, and then Lucy says, okay, so kinda.
Kinda. Yeah.
It,
Oh,
it
yeah.
answers it answers our question. And then I thought it was great because then it was like, oh great, she created an annoying voice so that this would be even more fingernails on the chalkboard, which it was. It was
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is that it's a creepy scene. No matter what her voice was going to sound like, that's a creepy scene. You know, she's one of the tubes is like in her mouth. They're coming out of her ears. She's got that weird headdress on. She doesn't have a body. You know what I mean? Like the whole scene is very like off-putting to begin with, but for her to add in this voice, which is already so triggering, you're like, God, that's annoying. And now you're like, oh God, it's really annoying. And it's, like I said, it's got like a filter added onto it to make it feel kind of robotic and like it's being filtered through a computer or a machine. And it's just so well done. So yeah, I loved that. Just that first interaction with Welch. I mean, it obviously it falls apart fairly quickly from there, but the very first interaction between those two was just amazing. Well done. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And then that kind of leads into my my third point, which just continues on because basically after the head does the thing, all it says to Lucy after that
yeah,
is kill
yeah,
me,
yeah,
kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me, and you kind of get it's a very like please for the love of God kill me.
yes.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
begging you to kill
It's
me.
like look at
Yes.
me. Yeah, and of course this puts Lucy in a really really bad spot because she hates killing
Hmm.
anything. And now and then what does she say, like, why is it everybody up here keeps asking me to kill them?
Yep.
Because I think didn't Wilzig say the same thing when he, was after his
Yeah.
foot got smushed and they kind of walked for a little while and then, he, and all that stuff. He ends up taking the cyanide or whatever. But I mean, it's just repeated, and poor Lucy is like, no, no, I'm not. And then she keeps pleading with her, and it just for me, being the movie guy, my head jumped to there's a deleted scene from the original Alien where Ripley at the end, after everybody else is dead and like before she sets the ship to explode, she finds Captain Dallas still alive, and he's like basically turning into an
Yep.
egg, and he can't move, and he kind of does the same thing. He has this kind of like that kind of a voice, and he begs her to kill him
Yep.
because he can tell what's happening to him and he can't stop, and it's too late to like fix him, to heal him, and so she ends up torching him with the flamethrower. And it's a scene that got cut basically for
Yep.
pacing because Ridley Scott felt that the action was really the tension and suspense was cranked up to a really high level because now it happens right after the scene where Ripley is all alone, where everybody else is dead or gone, and he felt that it just brought the movie screeching to a halt, and then it cranks back up again right after it,
Hmm.
and so he ended up cutting it. But on most of the physical media for the movie, you can see it's usually included in the scenes, and I think he actually did put it back in one of the later director's cut versions of the movie that came out in the aughts
Hmm.
or the teens or whatever. Anyway, it reminded me of that, where literally you have this this character that is in a really bad way, obviously in pain, and it's just like, please kill me, just kill
Yeah.
me, kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me.
Hmm.
And Lucy's like, yeah. And my line was, and again, I just thought this was so fun because at first Lucy's like, no, 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 we can patch you up. And then she pauses and she goes, maybe. And again, it's just Ella Purnell's delivery is so
Oh, that's
great.
great.
And because she's just like everything's gonna be fine, and you're just like, I'm ahead, kill me, yeah, oh yeah. And so I just, again, I know this episode is, a lot of it is very serious. The humor in here is, it's still there, but it's all, again, just like last week, dark humor. Kind of like whistling in the graveyard kind of a thing, where it's other, because otherwise it would be way too heavy.
Yes, absolutely.
But anyway, yeah. So I thought, yeah, as great as Macaulay Culkin talking about Kaiser's Palace, I thought this line was equally funny with her, like, but we can patch you up.
Maybe,
she doesn't believe it. She's like, oh, this is gonna be tough.
She's an optimist that she says it, and even though she can't say no, she says maybe. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't want to let her down. She's like, we can patch you up. Maybe. It's not a no.
Maybe,
I'm not saying yes, but it's not a no.
Look, we haven't explored all the options. Okay, yeah. But yeah, so I thought that scene was great, and then of course, Lucy she has the crowbar that she found, and she ends up smashing the jar, and like the thing I thought was interesting is that like all the computers in the room like grind to a halt.
Yeah, that's interesting, right?
Yeah, and I know that Hank eventually will kind of explain, right, in a very non-lost kind of way, where he'll actually tell you something that you want to know. That's 2 burns on Lost for me so far this episode. But what did when that happened? Can you remember? Did you get an idea of like what was going on, why the head was there, and so on?
I think I'm still confused as to why the head was there, but I understand that it's important to the story that she represented this like building block that was needed for the future, but I'm trying to place where her importance lies. I'm still not clear on it. I might have to watch the episode a few more times, but we'll see.
Okay.
How did you feel about it? And it's to me, when I saw the computers come to an end, I don't know if it's a bad thing, because like Hank was telling her, if you shut down the mainframe or whatever it is that she said she was going to do, he's like, oh, bad things are going to happen. And I'm like, well, are bad things really going to happen? Or are you just saying that to keep her from doing that, to like stop your scientific explorations? I don't know. So, yeah. So it didn't bother me when the computer sort of came to a halt. It just mostly was like, oh, okay, well, we'll see what happens next. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I like last in episode 7, when we first see the head at the very end, I was like, what?
Right.
Because I'm like, why is her head there?
Right.
And then when this started and we kind of see a little bit more first, because the other thing too is we didn't, was that just her head in a jar, or was she still alive? We didn't know, and she certainly looked dead in the end of the episode, because her eyes were kind of white, and you know what I mean? It was like, and she's a head, so you're thinking probably dead. But when she started talking and clearly was still alive, and then you see like I said, she's got that helmet with all the wires going out to all the mainframe, and we should point out on the floor there's like huge cable bundles running up to the table that are plugged into her.
Right.
So she's plugged into everything. I started to go, okay, so they're using her head for something involving the little neck chips.
Yes.
And the only thing I could think of is she was such a quiet, unassuming, non-violent person when we see her in the flashback, and that's kind of the personality that all of the people we've seen that Hank has put the chips into.
Right.
I thought, okay, they got to be mining that somehow, like her personality of just go along, don't cause a fuss, be polite, smile a lot,
Right.
All of those things are being like, somehow the computers can like pull that part of her personality out and then like send it out into the chips so that all the people will act in the same kind of way. That was my thought, and that's kind of what Hank says. He says a lot of stuff about how her personality was perfect for the program, and you know, it's a lot of like corporate speak, but that's what I took from it anyway.
and yeah, and I heard and most, you know, and understood some of that and not all of it, but and like you said, he's sort of like corporate speaking for her. I mostly thought that it was like, is this a representation of like, I don't know, like, are we gonna open up another vault somewhere and like Robert House's head is also attached to something, you know? Because he even made that comment where he's like, I became a target, like my body, my head, you know, over the years. So I is she representing like how you can live forever? Do you see what I mean? Like you take your consciousness and you connect it to a computer, possibly. I don't know. But but what you were saying too about the whole, like what Hank says about her being docile and etc. Is also helpful. But is there? I don't expect Hank to give us the full answer as well. There may have been other reasons that she was plugged in that he just didn't give us the whole thing, is how I feel about it.
It's like I said, they're kind of vague. They don't really, you know, they give you a, like I said, Hank kind of explains what he's doing, but they, you know, again, it's not overly filled in the details type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very funny scene with Lucy, and at the same time sad, you know, that Lucy is kind of yet once again forced to kill someone that, you know, clearly she doesn't want to do, but she. Oh, I like it because ultimately she kills her because she wants it to shut up.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's driving her nuts, and she's like, she can't deal with it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, really fun scene, and I want to say that after that, then I think they jump back to Norm.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And yeah, because we get a little bit of Norm, and then we go from Norm to Maximus fighting the Death Claws.
Yes.
Out in the street, but yeah, and that kind of leads into my next point, which is I just wrote so much for Buds.
For shizzle, that's actually kind of one of, when you said one of your beefs was Norm getting sort of short-handed for the episode, not as much story time, which I agree. I also feel like, does it feel like, okay, so he gets them out of the vault, obviously, like you're saying, so much for Buds. They're all gone now, thanks to the Roach Farm.
Although we should say Claudia's still
Correct.
with him, so his wasteland girlfriend is still around. His
wasteland sweetie. But I'm curious, like, the thing to me that was disappointing was not even so much that he got a lot of shortened screen time, but where is he going? You have to assume, right. He said, I'm going to take you home. So he's going back to the vaults. So my point is, what was the point of Norm? Like, what in the overall arc of the story was the point of Norm leaving if he's going to go back? Like, what? So I guess that's the question, is what do we expect Norm and Claudia to be able to do when they get back to the vaults? What do you did you think about that?
I did a little, because the you're right, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know, it's to invest the time we got with Norm,
right,
in that when he gets out of Vault 31, you know, he takes the Buds, they go into downtown Los Angeles, and why? Then he just turns around and comes back,
right?
Which it sounds like he's gonna, right?
Right.
But the only thing I can think of is that he finds out this kind of very general idea that there is, I mean, what's here, an experiment going on with the vaults, And he gets that from Ronnie, and one of the things Ronnie talks about in, phase 2 and all this stuff. And remember, he gets on the radio at the end of episode 7, and he's like, Dad, like, what's going to happen to our vault?
Right.
So he's armed with the knowledge that something's going on. He doesn't know what, but something. He does have Claudia with him for, confirmation, because she'll be like, hi, I'm 200 years old. And, when he gets back there, of course, we have what's going on with Steph in the vault. So that we have, Chet has, his own little bit of there's something going on here, right? And so I think that what we're going to see is they're going to reunite next season, and they're going to start digging into what's going to happen with the vaults, what's going on here. And maybe that means they question Steph. Maybe that means they question Betty. Steph, of course, gets on the Enclave radio at the end and initiates phase 2, whatever that's going to be.
Right.
So what does that mean? Well, how is that going to affect? Is the Enclave going to show up there or whatever? We don't really know, right? It's all kind of sort of this nefarious kind of hidden things where we're not really sure. But that's the only thing I could think of, is that he's going to go back to the vault and try and figure out what is coming, what is phase 2, what is the experiment, and how can he stop it. So
yeah,
I don't know, what did you think?
I mean, I think that they're setting it up so that he can go back and be more in a leadership role in the vaults, whichever one he ends up in, because it's not clear, like, would he go back to 32 or 33? It's we don't know. But yeah, I think it's setting up for that. I just hope they follow through. He does have some knowledge, but he doesn't know everything. So was the whole point for him to, I mean, Steph is clearly going to be, if she's not removed from power, she certainly doesn't have any power anymore. Not after what she said, not after what they found out. But will that also taint Betty as well? Will Betty still be in power? Will Norm try and take power from Betty? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what will happen. But yeah, I think it's clear he's going back to the vaults. I hope that they take what he learned and make that be part of it, not just have him show up and be like, what do we do next? And we're like, no, you gained like insight and also strength. I want to see Norm's character be a little different too. You know what I mean? I want to see him be more, grab the world by the balls, as it were. But yeah, but that's the end of it. Were you disappointed that we only got a short amount of time with Buds? That I mean, yes, we still have Claudia, but the rest of them are gone.
Yeah, I mean, they were all imminently replaceable. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to find out more about the plan.
Right.
And I was very disappointed that Ronnie didn't, go into full blown monologuing there. And
right.
And sort of say what was going to happen and how he's powerless to stop it. Oh, look, the elevator opened. Huh, what's in there? And then boo, out they come. And I also just would want to add, it was hilarious that the girl who kept injuring herself back in Vault 31. When they first woke up, if you remember, she slipped and I'm okay. And then she smacked the hatch into her nose and got a bloody nose and stuff. She's the one who looks down the elevator shaft.
Up. Is it really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Accident prone Bud's Bud.
Yes. And then she's like, oh, good. See, those roaches really don't get that big. Ah! And then, she gets her neck ripped out. It was so good. It was like, yep, you deserve that. Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
that was awesome.
That was perfect. My next point is
yes.
Yeah, okay. So we do transition to, it's a really important scene of, I was going to say of the movie, of the episode is, we left Maximus was he was left not by himself really, but yeah, in essence by himself, because Thaddeus can't shoot because his arm fell off. And the ghoul was like, thanks, man. And he went inside. So
that was the plan,
right, which was the plan. But
they're supposed to run interference so the ghoul can go in and get Lucy. I mean, that was
correct.
so yeah.
The plan did come to fruition, but there are a lot of death claws.
Oh boy.
And they all now there's it's not just the handful that were in front of the door where Coop needed to get in. Now it's the other like 7 or 8 that are roaming around in that area, and now the gate is broken, so they're able to get over to the free side.
Yes.
And all of those people are there. So it's basically.
And by the way, I love what the population of Freeside decides to do once the Deathclaws, start crossing into their area. Do they take up arms and defend their little town? Do they barricade themselves in? No, they start taking bets on how long Maximus is going to last, to the point where the one woman who's taking the bets points out, she's like, you realize that if he dies, we're all going to die,
and
right?
Everyone's like,
and
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I still got 20. I still want 20 on the death clause. Yeah, it was very, again, a nice little bit of humor during this very serious, fight sequence. But anyway, continue.
For sure. When we get this full scene, it looked good for Maximus for a little bit. Then the big thing with the suits is if you get knocked down like a weeble, it's hard to kind of regain your footing again because you're so big and so bulky. Or if you like swing and miss, you know what I mean? Like there's so much bulk going on with those suits that once the Deathclaw gets a little bit of the upper hand, he's got it, because it's hard to sort of break out of it. So he was doing really well. He was discovering the weapons and shooting and blowing things apart.
Hot dog.
Yeah, hot dog. Loved it. And so there's great moments of action, and he's doing a really good job with the Deathclaws. Then it starts to slow down a little. They get a little bit of the upper hand. And then before you know it, he's like on the ground and is really getting beaten to a pulp. There's a moment where he's almost taken out, but Thaddeus is able to get off one shot. And he's just, so thankful. He's, thank you so much. But then Thaddeus is like, he literally used his foot which was great. It was like watching a, My Left Foot movie or whatever. He's got the rifle in between like his big toe and his, his other toe. So he's like, thanks, Thaddeus, you're best. And then like there's another Deathclaw coming, and Thaddeus is like, okay, I gotta reload now. So there's this whole rumbling around while he's trying to do that. Meanwhile, Maximus is on the ground, but then the other part is those suits, when they start to break down, that's the problem. And then you're in like a trap. You're in a really big metal can that is malfunctioning, which is eventually what the pinnacle of that moment was he's laying there on the ground and like he's short-circuiting, so his leg is twitching, his arm is twitching, and he knows like it's bad. He can't get up. The machine is broken to the point where he can't use any of the usable parts of the suit, and he's just waiting for himself to be like killed in the suit. And he decides, it's this burst of inspiration. He's not going to go out like that. So he opens it up and he gets out of the suit, and he ends up picking up a pool cue and a blackjack
a roulette
wheel, sorry, and uses that as a shield. And the image is fantastic. It's so well done. And meanwhile is having all of these flashbacks of the moment right before the bomb fell in Shady Springs, and his dad is like, you're gonna be a good man one day, and all this other stuff, and it's all very inspiring. And he's like ready to, and the townspeople are watching from the window, and the one guy, he's like, he's just a kid. When they see him outside of the suit, they realize he's a person. He's not just the suit. And so when he steps out and they're like, he's just a kid, oh my God. And they're like right on the verge of, he like grabs his gun and he's like, let's go help him out. And the woman's that was taking the bets is like, yeah, I ain't gonna do that. No.
Yeah, and then nobody else joins to do it. He's just like,
she's like,
well,
crap.
whatever.
So, it just as much as it swells up, it peters right back out again. And you're like, okay, great. Thaddeus can't re-unload fast enough. The townspeople they're being wimps and they're staying where they are. And the only thing that's keeping Maximus from being hit is he's got a pool cue and he's got that roulette wheel, and he's like,
yep.
He's like, come on, come for me. And just as the Deathclaw's about to get him, there's a shot that rings out, and he turns and looks up at Thaddeus, and Thaddeus is like, wasn't me, and he points over. And you look over, and in what is probably visually the most video game looking moment, probably of the season, I would say, it turns out it's an NCR soldier and is fully covered in all this gear, like a mask on his face, and all you can see are the goggles, and he's got this really great gun, and he shoots again, but it's all slowed down, so you watch the path of the bullet.
It's like the Matrix.
Oh, it's so great, because you're still, while it's going, you're still reacting to, because I didn't play the video games, so, like, the images of these things, I'm sure they're things that video game players have seen, versions of this a bunch of times, and I'm like, this is amazing. It just looks so great, and you're absorbing it all in. Meanwhile, the bullet's going, it's going, and it finally hits the Deathclaw, knocks it out, it's done, and then you see the rest of the NCR roll around. But I just thought, as the absolute height of that moment, you're all tense and worried, like, what's gonna save Maximus in this moment, and it's, worried and anxious, and oh my god, he's not gonna make it, and then boom, and you watch this bullet go across, like you said, very Matrix style. I just thought visually, from how the shooter looked, and how the bullet traveled, and how they filmed all of that it was amazing. It was a really great introduction of this group of New California Republic soldiers, and I just thought visually it looked amazing. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it did. It was definitely the bullet time trick, front that Matrix kind of introduced.
Sure.
And they've shown this a couple times, in season 1 and also this season. When Lucy was killing all the Elvis ghouls.
Yes.
The very last one that had the guitar in its back, we kind of got this bullet time shot of her with a pistol, where you see the bullet come out of the barrel and it's spinning right in slow motion and so on. And it's really a cool, like you said, it's a real cool visual. But just in terms of the game, you had when you get the Pip-Boy on, you get this thing called VATS, which is the Vault Automatic Combat System or something, and when say the Deathclaw's coming at you, you activate VATS and it like slows it down so it's moving very slowly, and it shows the whole body of the Deathclaw in this case, and like the head will have its own like it'll be outlined, and then the arms and the chest and the legs, and you like as you fight in the game, you build up these VAT points on your Pip-Boy, and when you have enough, you can like direct a shot or one of your weapons, and you can pick which part of the body you want to go for, and if you build up enough, you can make it a critical shot, so it's going to do critical damage when it hits. And so you can pick, I want to shoot it in the head, or I want to blow off one of its legs or whatever. And then when you select the target and then you hit OK, it then shows the bullet firing or the laser firing, and it's all slow motion, just like we saw in this scene. And so what they're doing is they're pulling like an actual gameplay moment and presenting it on screen for us to kind of see. And you're right, it was super cool. And just the fact that the sniper for the NCR had like the red eyeball goggles,
Yeah.
and the face is totally in a gas mask. I mean, it's like you have no idea. Is that a boy or a girl? Is it a ghoul? You don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a soldier. It made it even more cool. So yeah, that was a really kind of a great kind of a, getting the bacon, saved, pulled out of the fire right at the very last minute, because Max is pretty close to getting ripped to shreds right there.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, and so for that to happen was really cool. And I think more importantly, and I think the most important part of it all, is Thaddeus wins his bet. So there you go.
He gets all the bottle caps. I love how he says too, is like, I used to make money for a living, and you're like,
right.
He's not he wasn't like an investor. We mean literally,
No,
he made bottle
literally,
caps.
he made money. That's what he did. Yes, it was sarsaparilla,
Yeah.
but he made it.
It was
Yes,
like he was the coin man. So yeah.
It was so great because he's like, I got 500 caps that he wins, and they're like, yeah, you don't have 500 caps, and he like rips open the bag, and they all run out of his pant leg onto the floor, and he's like, count it, bitches.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
so good.
funny.
So let's do your next point. Let's do your number 5, if you want.
Yeah. Well, I think they kind of run together.
Yeah. So we'll talk about them both.
I think yeah. It's Hank and Lucy.
Yep.
Which the way that our director, Mr. Toye, cuts it together, where all of these scenes are kind of chopped up, right? And so we get the ghoul. He started up the cold fusion, and Robert House showed up, and Robert House gives him a Pip-Boy so he can lead him to his family. So he's kind of walking through the bowels of the Voltec thing while all this stuff is happening. And then of course we get Lucy with the head, and she smashes it in the jar, and does all that. And then of course we get the Max stuff, and we get the Norm stuff. And so what has happened now is that the ghoul is still kind of making his way, because he doesn't have a golf cart, so he's got to walk, and he and House are talking about what's going on, and a lot about the Enclave, and all that stuff. And I think we also get a little flashbacky stuff too, right, with Coop and Barb and all that stuff. But Hank finally gets himself uncuffed from the stove and confronts Lucy after she has smashed the head, and he's like, why did you do that? And they start having this discussion about the chips and about how he's making things better, and he points out that with the micronization now, you'll never be able to tell who has a chip, because they'll be implanted inside your neck.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll never know. And then he says something like, the good news is that I'm going to get my little girl back, which I thought was a real ominous line there, right? That basically suggesting that Lucy, I have a special present for you.
That's never a good thing to hear.
No. And so then this really big the guy with the stapler in the previous episode,
yep,
he shows up with wearing the great short sleeve button up shirt. Oh my God, that's so hilarious to me. Yeah. And the guy's 8 feet tall. He's this monster of a guy, and he holds Lucy down, and Hank has this little device that will attach the chip, and literally he's gonna turn her into one of these zombie people. And just as he's getting ready to do it, you hear a gunshot ring out, and the Legion guy gets his brains blown out and falls down, and we see it's the ghoul, and the ghoul has kind of come upon them, and the ghoul then shoots Hank right in the butt.
which is great.
Right. But much like Lucy, right? Because that's what Lucy was doing. And Hank's like, oh, come on. He's like, geez, really? And he's like, you had to shoot me in the ass, and the ghoul is like, hey, if it was me, it wouldn't be, blood, spilling out from your ass all over the place now. But then he goes, but it's not up to me. And he tosses to Lucy a little teeny tiny little revolver gun that's it barely fits in her hand. It's teeny. It's a teeny little thing. And basically saying, it's up to you now. You can decide what to do with him. in terms of justice, and I'm using air quotes. And then he ends the gun up, and this is what I wrote down as Coop goes, "What say you, Volty?"
Mm.
And they kind of stare at each other. And remember, the last time that they saw each other, they did not exactly part on the best of terms. Because he had sold her out and drugged her, and then she, impaled him on a pole. So, and what I really liked about that line is after he says, "What say you, Valty?" he kind of tips his cap to her, right? He runs his finger across the brim of his cowboy hat, and I really like that because it's sort of him. I took it to mean he was kind of going, I did you wrong the last time we were together, and that was a mistake, and so now I've made up for it, and we're back to even. Did you get that sense too, or is that just the romantic in my cold dead heart seeing that?
No. It felt that way, especially the way he like tilted his hat was basically he was giving her respect, saying, and that's why he shot him in the butt, because he even says so, he would have done more. But
he would have killed him.
And he tells Lucy that he would have, but he didn't out of respect for her, even though that is a method that he made fun of previously. Out of respect for her and how much he, dare I say, cares about her, and he cares ultimately about how she is handling all this, because Coop knows Hank. He knows that he is part of the reason why they're dealing with all of this shit. Like, he's like a much more evil character than I think we even know. Like, we've seen a lot of stuff, but I think there's more to come. Still, I think there's, in his caring for Lucy, part of it is he can just shoot Hank and walk away, but he knows that Lucy has so much more invested in that she can't just do that and walk away, and she has more to think about, so he tells her what he would have done. He leaves it up to her and lets her make the decision, but he also, by doing what he did, he's showing that he has respect for her methods too. So he's giving her permission to not kill her dad, in a sense, he's telling her to do what she thinks is the right thing to do, not what the ghoul would do, because what he would do is this. So and because they had that bad patch there, which put her in this position, he's leaving it up to her and then removing himself from the situation. It is doing, like you said, it's leveling everything back up to where it was. I respect you, and he's moving on, because he kind of has to,
Well, yeah, because he's still got things to do and places to to visit and people to meet. So he leaves her. He saves her, gets her in a good position, gives her the gun, and then goes, "Whatever you want to do, you do. We're even." That was what I took from it. That he's sort of like, what, I made a bad choice the last time, and I'm here. I made up for it, and I'm he didn't say I'm sorry, but he basically said we're even. So yeah. I love that, but I think before that happens though, Hank and her are having this discussion. Maybe it's after, I guess. Maybe it's after when because she then puts the chip in Hank, and they're walking as fast as he can walk with a bullet in his butt, and they're kind of having this discussion about what was his plan, and she keeps asking him, like, what were you going to do, what were you trying to do? And that's where I think your next point happens, right?
Yeah.
Where he kind of, again, it's a great performance by Kyle MacLachlan, because, and I think the writing is really good too, in that he doesn't really answer. He kind of answers like this with some very teasy kind of stuff, but not a lot of substance, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it is very like corporate speak. A lot of like uh it's almost like he was waiting for like when's the day I'm gonna have to explain all this to Lucy if I ever have to. So he's got sort of like some canned responses ready. But one of the things he does say, which is really interesting to hear, is that he said that the surface is the experiment, not the vaults. Which is interesting because we just left Norm, and Norm had the moment with Ronnie from the last episode where it's like, next phase for 32 and 33. Phase two for them is the most important part, and it's like, okay, so if what Hank said is true, if the true experiment is up on the surface, then what experiment is happening in the vaults? Is it an experiment at all? And will we find out more next season about like more details of what the plan was in the vaults? I'm very curious about that. But yes, I thought that was a really interesting thing. It sort of leads into the rest of what he admits, which is that he says that he's installed a bunch of the, neck monitor things already and has released those people out into the wild. And they haven't been, I'm using air quotes here, activated yet. They're just waiting on him to sort of like push the button. And then they'll be activated out in the real world. And so it's this really interesting, like, idea of, because he even said you won't know when you come upon someone because it's such a small incision, it's such a small scar on the back of the neck that if you're not looking for it, you won't even see it. So I'm curious if that's going to be something that we run into next season, is people that are going to be this way, like Lucy's going to run into them and then have to go, when they turn around to go do something, she'll be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
He or she has a scar. Yeah. What? And Hank kind of says, that there's already people that he's sent out in the wasteland.
Yep.
That are, and what does he say? It's like a really cryptic line, like they're following orders that were written 200 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's back to whatever, and I mean these are quotes, the plan is. Yeah. Right, that's going on. Yeah. So and you're right. I think that is definitely going to be next season, because I don't you get the sense that Lucy now feels like she needs to like clean up this mess, and so her new purpose is not to go get her dad and bring him back to the vaults or whatever, or get justice to him or whatever. That's been done, because we'll get to that, because he gone, yeah, sort of. But I think now she's looking at it as, my dad did this, so now it's fallen to me to like fix it. So she's gonna go out into the wasteland and basically literally walk up to every person she meets, and it's like, howdy, can I look at your neck?
Yeah, could I inspect your neck, please?
Yeah, and the thing is, because it's Ella Purnell, if they're guys, and some women too, I'm sure they'll be like, sure.
and that's going to be an interesting thing to see too, because she's just so perky and positive that she may just be able to do that. She may be able to just go up to people and say, so, can I look at your neck? And have people go, yes, I guess so.
Why? Yeah, sure. I okay. Yep. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what it does, but I definitely think that's going to be, her like next season, her and Maximus will kind of set out, because I don't get the sense that she's gonna go with the Ghoul. I think the Ghoul is just off on his own thing now.
Right.
Not that they won't still meet up, because I'm sure they will, because it's the show. But I think her mission now is, I need to go and find all of these people that her dad has unleashed out there and try and stop them.
Right. What I think one of the darkest things that we learned this season, though, was either from, I think it was the last episode, not episode 8, I think episode 7, when
Mm-hmm.
he's showing off his you know, I guess it's not his invention, but the development of the chip thing. When he's showing it off to Lucy, one of the things that he says is that it's not reversible.
Yes.
So I think, like, to me, that's the darkest thing, because if they could just simply go up and remove it and put people back where they were, there'd be a really interesting sort of, level to, like, that's our next thing, Maximus, me and you, our journey. We're going to go across the wasteland. We're going to find these people. We're going to pull those things off and restore them back to their normal selves or whatever. They can go find those people and round them up, but what their next steps are unclear, because they can't put them back to where they were. So first of all, I appreciate that too, because this is a post-apocalyptic story, and there can't be all happy endings, because we're still dealing with, like, nuclear radiation and stuff like that. It's not there. It can't be all of these happy endings. The fact that she and Maximus find each other again, fantastic, and they may go out and do something worthwhile with their time, but it's not going to be, you know what I mean, a cut and dry happy ending where they find these people that have the things installed because of this thing that he admitted. So
yeah. Oh no, I think they're gonna have to find them and kill them. I don't think there's any way. And what does Lucy say? Like, 'cause they're outside, and Hank kind of goes, "We're not going back to the vaults, are we?" You know,
right.
and she has this, which, again, dripping with implications of, you're just gonna, shoot me, right? I mean, this is what's gonna happen. And she says something like, the wasteland changes people, right? Which is something that every
Right.
person has told her since she walked out of the vault, right? Is that the wasteland is going to change you, kid. But she finally admits it, that, you know what? Yeah, I'm not the girl that left the vault, last season. I'm, I've evolved, I've changed. And now, if killing is required, I'm down with it.
Yeah. Yeah. She's it's funny too, because that's basically what Maximus says to her, and she's like, "Oh, I could have stopped this, and I'm the reason this is happening." And he's basically like, he's, welcome to the wasteland. Nothing goes the way
Yeah.
you want it to, and as
Yeah,
soon as you recognize then you might actually have some joy in your life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You don't sweat the big stuff. Just focus on the small stuff. Yeah, because, like, I think they're up in houses,
Mhm.
like penthouse, and they see, like, the Legion marching into the
Right.
city. And of course, by that point, like, the regiment or the platoon of the NCR in the city.
Mm.
And she's like, I think I started a war. And yeah, his response is, well, that's the wasteland.
Yeah, it's true. It if you're expecting it to be this sort of, like, cherry on top happy ending, then it's wrong. And you can, like, you can, just finding Maximus, and for them to be able to be together without the Brotherhood breathing down his neck, da da da. This is good. Like, that's something to get happiness and joy out of. But that's it. Everything else will be sort of like, okay, it is what it is. We can either, roll with it. Maybe you can fix stuff. Maybe you can't, because that's the wasteland, baby.
Yeah, right. That's, yeah. It sort of harkens back to, the end of
Yeah.
Chinatown, when the guy looks at Nicholson and goes, "Forget it, Jake. It's
Yeah.
Chinatown. You can't. This is the way it
Yeah.
is." So yeah, yeah, yeah. Good stuff,
I
man.
know.
And that whole bit, with Hank and her, I thought was really great.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
great scene. Very it's, like, tragic, and just it yeah, it's a good scene. Yeah.
It is. I know this is one of your, your final thought questions, but I won't step on it. But I was definitely disappointed at the thought of, is this it for Kyle MacLachlan? Is he going to be, off the
Mm,
show? Because, as you said, it's irreversible, the process, and he kind of, like, kills himself
Right.
Because she's holding like the little control box with the red button that will activate his little chip, and that's how she's kind of forcing him to do what she says, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't go along with it, I will zap you. And then it turns out he has one of those like in his pocket. Like she makes the tragic mistake of not searching him. It's like, lady, but where have you
Yep.
been, right? Have you ever seen in any of the 15 movies you've seen? Do you not notice this is a bad thing?
Yep.
And so he then kind of hey, and it is, you're right, it's very bittersweet because she keeps asking what are you going to do, what's the plan, what are you what's going to happen, and he just looks at her and he goes, I love you, sugar bomb. And then she sees the control box and she's like, no, and then boop, and then suddenly he just kind of goes into comatose, and then he's like, Miss, are you all right? And it's it's like he's gone.
Yeah.
Right. And so my thought was, oh, that really sucks because he's so good. And I think the show is better with him in it because he's a great villain,
Right.
because he's so damn
Right.
good. So and we'll get to your final thought later, because I like that, because you bring up is this the end of Hank, and I think it's going to be a good discussion.
But we'll
but
get
anyway,
to that.
I did have that little moment. I'm like, oh man, he's not going to be back next season. Damn it, that sucks.
So let's talk your final moment, and my sort of second to final moment there is kind of connected together. And so Coop makes it to the vaults. The vaults are opened, and we get connected to the scene where the vaults open is a scene from the before times when he is taken into custody for I guess you could say he's un-American. That's what they say is the House Committee on Un-American Activities, kind of like when they were battling the communists back in the day. There actually was a committee that took care of that stuff. And so,
it was the HUAC committee. That was what they called it.
So
the House on American Activities. Yeah.
So he's being arrested, but right before that happens, he's like, maybe we should just go to, they said Bakersfield, and he's like, how about someone further? How about Colorado? And so he says that, and in that moment, they're having this sort of final moment together, because he's like, act surprised, I'll be the one arrested, you for Janie, do it for her, whatever. So there's this really beautiful moment where he's like, let me be arrested for doing what we did, and you will not be, because we'll pretend that you didn't know what was happening. So you flash forward to this scene, and they had this conversation off the cuff about Colorado, and then the vaults open and there's nothing there, and Robert House is like, oh, how sad, you've hoped for all this time, and
tough break, old chum.
old chum. But in there, on the floor, is the postcard, and the front of the postcard says Colorado. It does. And it says on the inside, on the backside, Barb filled it out and says, what did she say exactly? Just like
she wrote Colorado was a good idea.
Yeah. I think the most interesting part about this scene is, and I don't know if you agree, but everything is digitized at this point. Robert House he even admitted, he rigged the machines in the casinos so that he could win. He rigged this, and this. So it's all very technical, like all these different machineries and computers and digital things that can be manipulated and can be, monitored, etc. And I feel like the postcard, first of all, it's a clue that only Coop would know what it means. But even if the probability of someone finding it is so small, it would only be Coop that would find it. But in this moment, Robert House can't see it, doesn't know what it is that changed Coop's mind. Do you know what I mean? Because he didn't read it out loud or whatever. He just had the card in his hand, and that's that. So to me, I felt like it was also sort of an analog way of Barb to communicate, where it wouldn't be monitored or added into some database somewhere that, she said something about Colorado or whatever. It was the only way to leave a clue where no one else has clocked it even being in there. So yeah, anyway, I thought the use of it was really well done. It was really cool, and I loved it. The only thing I didn't like about it was, well, damn it, now we're gonna have to wait even more time to see. I'm just dying to see what Barb's reaction would be to Coop in this state.
The ghoul Coop.
Exactly. So I'm curious for that family reunion to happen, if it's gonna happen at all. I'm curious to see.
Maybe she's a ghoul too.
Ghoul Barb.
You never know. Yeah, you never know, right? I think, I agree that was a real cool moment when the postcard shows up, and I love that Coop says, like, for the first time in 200 years, I know my family's alive. So that was nice, because again, it gives him even more hope, right? And but I also loved the all of the talking between House and Coop as he's making his way to the cryo storage area where the pods are, right? And the House is talking about the Enclave, and about how they're higher up than him and they were more prepared than he was. But like you said, he rigged everything in Vegas to try and save it. Everything was rigged. Every roulette wheel, every blackjack table, every slot machine, everything. And despite all that, there was somebody else that was above him and controlling stuff, and really kind of spelling out that the Enclave is the real enemy here, and then and while we're getting that and we're cutting between all this stuff, we're also cutting to the flashbacky stuff, and we get this great scene where Coop and Barb are at the airport, and they're kind of like in the post glow of, hey, we gave cold fusion to the president and everything's gonna be fine. and of course we also get this great bit where Hank shows up with his bride to be.
Oh my god, yes.
Which of course is Steph. So what we were saying before, that could Steph be Lucy's mom? No, she can't, but she's certainly a stepmom, right? But anyway, so then they kind of go off, and it's just Hank, or it's just Coop and Barb, and then I love it when all the payphones start ringing.
Oh god, yeah.
Which again, for people of a certain age, shall we say, and that would include you and me, who remember payphones as a thing, there's nothing that is more off-putting when you come across a bank of 6 payphones and all of them start ringing in sequence, in unison at once.
Yeah, it was so creepy.
It's just it's weird. You're like, huh? And and everybody in the airport is like, what is going, you see them, they're all like, what, looking, and so Coop finally goes over and he picks up the phone, and it's House, and House is kind of like, I want you to know it wasn't my fault.
I didn't do it.
Or it wasn't my doing or something. And he's like, what? And he's like, whatever's going to happen, and he literally goes, I told you, I'm not the worst thing out there. That there are people that are worse than me, Mr. Howard. And he goes, I appreciate, you wanting to play the hero, and, basically saying you screwed up, kid, and now you're going to get your comeuppance. And then that's when, Coop notices all of the agents positioned around him that are closing in to arrest him. And that's when he tells Barb, deny, you didn't know
Yep.
anything about it, and you keep, well, we're gonna sell that story. And she's like, no, we're gonna fight. He's like, no, for
Yep.
Janie, we
Yep.
have to do it for. And what I thought was so brilliant about that, the way they did it, was that answered so many questions about season
Yep.
one for me, about how did, what, why did they get divorced, and all of this stuff about why did she go off in the vault and he didn't, and all these. Now it's like, okay, you know what, we get it. But what's great is that they don't hate each other, and she's not this evil, monster that wants to end the world. And it's like, you know what, she still wants him, she still wants to be
Yep.
with him, and she wants them to be a family. It's not, it's not her being like, oh, you stupid actor, I'm gonna blow up the world. No, she's like, no, I want to, we need to do this together. And he's like, no, you go do that, I will find
Right.
you. And I mean, it's taken him a little longer than he probably planned, but that's what he's
Right.
gonna do.
He's
And
a man of his
so
word.
yeah. So anyway, I really like that whole sequence with all the talking with House about the Enclave and kind of setting them up as the new bad guy. And yet at the same time, we finally learn a little bit more about why Coop and Barb, and what was their situation. And I thought that was really, they did it in a really cool way. And again, all the phones ringing, it's just creepy.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's included in your honorable mentions, and I couldn't help myself and put a number 6 in there. What am I going to say?
I know. I did too.
So post-credit scene. Oh my God.
I know.
What'd you say?
I said I know, and my question is, were you aware of it, or did you have to go back and rewatch it? Like, you found
out because someone posted about it online. In fact,
too.
I think it was a couple of days later, and after watching the episode, because I think I watched it right away on. I may have not watched it on Tuesday night. I think I might have watched it on Wednesday, on the normal night. But it was a clear 2-3 days later, and I saw an article that was like, oh, let's talk about what happened in the finale. And I was like, oh, yeah, let me see what people are saying online. And when I clicked on that, they didn't say that the first one that I read didn't say it was a post-credit scene, but they were breaking down all the things. And one of the things they listed is they were like, blah, blah, blah. And the stuff that we learned from the Brotherhood, and I was like,
from the Brotherhood with Quintus and Dane, and you're like, Quintus
I was
and
like,
Dane?
there wasn't any scene with the Brotherhood. I was like, that's so bizarre. I wonder if they're just. At first, I was like, oh, maybe they're just recapping the season. You know what I mean? As opposed to the specific episode. So like, okay, that's, whatever. So we'll just leave it as is. And then the very next thing I clicked on, the next day, was like, did you watch the post-credits scene? And I was like, oh, that's what it was. And I immediately went right back and watched it. So, yeah, it's, that's an interesting, it's, what's great about it is, I think Maximus has nothing to worry about, because I think Quintus's plans don't involve him at all. I think if Maximus is in the way, sure, but I don't think he's seeking out. I think he's gonna exact revenge on a bunch of different people, not just maybe the handful that maybe just wronged them. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. So it's interesting to see, I love how he's like, I was Quintus the Unifier, and now I'll be Quintus the Destroyer. Is that what he says?
The Destroyer, I think, is what he says.
And I was like, the interesting part is the tone of your voice feels almost exactly the same. So I don't know how different this is going to be.
He was before he was unifying by destroying, and now he'll be destroying by unifying. It's all different. Trust me.
It's a different feeling. It's giving different tones. I don't know what it is, but it's a great little scene, a great little extra piece there. It's nice to know that whatever conflagration happened as as Maximus and Thaddeus were walking away there. You know, there was like explosions and there was battling happening there. Dane made it through. That's good to see. So now we know going into season 3 that Dane may show back up again, which would be great to see. That's a good character. What did you think of the post credits scene?
Yeah, first of all, just on Dane, I think we will absolutely see Dane again. There's no doubt. The Brotherhood is definitely going to figure in it. It was really great. And that's just for the for all the gamers, because what Dane, the scene Dane has this like tube, much like the tube that I make you carry at the conventions. In to Quintus, and he takes it out, and it's like these blueprints, right? And he the very last bit we get was when he goes, "Now I'll be Quintus the Destroyer," or whatever, and he unrolls the blueprints, and it's these blueprints for this like massive, 100-foot, 200-foot tall robot that is called Liberty Prime. And I mean, it's like, imagine like a transformer, to like parlay it into like something we've seen in other movies. That's kind of what it is, but it doesn't transform. It's just a giant robot. It doesn't, turn into a car or anything like that. But it's like that high. It's that big, you know what I mean? And that is something that is straight out of Fallout 3.
Okay.
Which is a game that takes place in the Washington D.C. area, where you join the Brotherhood and you're fighting the Enclave in that, and the Brotherhood has Liberty Prime, but they like can't get it to work, and so there's a whole bunch of missions where you have to find various parts and things to bring back so that they can get Liberty Prime to work. Okay. And anyway, it's just definitely again, I could hear all the gamers squeeing when they unrolled the blueprints, and there it was, because Liberty Prime is a huge part of Fallout 3, which was a very, very popular game in the series. And so I think everybody is like, oh, does that mean we're going to Washington D.C. next? Maybe we'll have to see. So that I thought was really fun, and it would be awesome to see Liberty Prime in the show, just to see how they would do it. I think it would look really cool. So that just from a gamer standpoint, that was a huge tie-in to the video game series. So it was very cool.
The thing that I liked about it too was that, like I was saying, it might mean it keeps the Brotherhood off of Maximus's back for a portion of season 3, which would be great to see. I was thinking too that the good part of that is, it feels like the East Coast, because it seems like they fought all of the West Coast kind of factions there. I feel like this is an opportunity to see other places, and I didn't know about DC, but maybe that's a possibility. I feel like the Brotherhood will be fighting other Brotherhood factions, and it'll be other areas of the U.S. So that's the sense that I felt. So I think that the coolest part about that is that, and now it's sort of confirmed by what you said. So I'm excited for the idea of a, what's it called? Like a going to another area. I think that's going to be super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely get the feeling that at least part of next season is going to be perhaps at the remains of the Overlook Hotel. We'll have to see. But the fact that this cutscene's in here, it certainly suggests that the arrow is pointing to the East Coast, which would make sense, because this season was all about the New Vegas setting, which is one of the games. So they would they go to the Washington D.C. Maryland area, which is where Fallout 3 takes place, which is where Liberty Prime was built in the game. Yeah, maybe. So we'll have to see. I don't know. Obviously it's a long trip for those two to like walk from Las Vegas to the East Coast. So we'll have to see what they're going to do. And of course we also have, poor Thaddeus, and what body part's going to fall off next that they will have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. I also wanted to include one of my honorable mentions was when we get that what must be where the enclave is located, when they receive
Mm-hmm.
Steph's signal. They receive
Oh yeah.
her, and I like that little extra where it showed they weren't just listening uh, to what Steph said. You could see that they were listening to what Hank said. They heard what Norm said. So they're basically
Oh
like
yeah.
out there listening to all sort of airwaves. And I thought it was cool because when Steph's like, her whole thing was like, they said you're always listening, and they are always listening, and they exhibited it. But the screen, like as soon as her sort of um, I guess, distress call was received, it sort of took it in and then displayed it out on this screen. And then it takes it in and then absorbs it. And then the screen changes. And as it says, phase 2 initiation request received. Now, it doesn't say they're going into phase 2. They just says that they received the request to move to phase 2. Yeah, I thought that it was super cool, and it shows how instantaneous the reaction was, and the fact that clearly the Enclave is super powerful since they're listening in on devices sort of all over the place. I thought it was super cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And in the game they're like this all-knowing thing, and they have we see one in season 1. It's sort of like this like kind of like Sputnik would look. It's this ball and it has all these antennas and it kind of hovers around and floats.
Yeah.
And when Wilzig was in the that Enclave facility, you see those things kind of roaming around, and those in the game they're just out, just zipping along in the wasteland.
Mm.
And they're completely benign. If you leave them alone, they won't do anything to you.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just like recording everything, so it just shows you that the Enclave is always watching everything, and it's just they're always a step ahead because they always know what's going on. And if, by the way, you like attack one of those things, they are like they're they just zap you and you die. I mean, you know what I mean? They have in game terms, they have like 10 million hit points to you have to do in damage before you kill them, and their weapons do thousands of points of damage when they shoot you. So they are really super tough to kill, and it just makes sense to just leave them alone. So, but yeah, I did like the big facility with all the satellite dishes that we kind of see in that like drone shot, right, of the it's like obviously a listening post where like the Enclave is just monitoring all the frequencies.
Yeah.
And getting all those messages, so everything that happens is being recorded, and they know. And also we kind of glazed over it, but you get the bit we talked a little bit earlier where Steph opens up the keepsakes box, and there's like a black Pip-Boy
Yep.
in there. That's all that's in there, is just this Pip-Boy. And when she turns it on, it gives like Enclave logo. And so it's clearly the Pip-Boy technology, but it's not a Vault-Tec Pip-Boy. It's an Enclave Pip-Boy.
Mm.
And that's when she goes, I don't know how this works, but I'm Steph McLean, Hank's wife, and he always said you were listening, and so initiate phase 2. And so yeah, I again, ominous, right?
Yes.
What does that mean? What's going to happen? But at the same time, it was really cool.
Yeah,
So
I loved it.
yeah.
I didn't have a lot of honorable mentions. We already sort of talked through those. I did, since this is the finale and we're sort of thinking in terms of, what did we think of season 2 total? I did have one sort of final thought on the episode itself, but it sort of connects it to season 3. And my question is, and I don't know if we have an answer, but could Hank have faked his transformation, the one he did in front of Lucy? Could he have faked it so that he could get out of that situation? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Did he, somehow jimmy the control so when he pushed the button, nothing really happened? Yeah, let me say that I really hope that's the case because, as I said, I think the show is way better if Kyle MacLachlan's in it, and is not like a dithering idiot in it, you know. So I really hope that's true. I think the looking at the real world situation thing, I doubt it. I think that Kyle MacLachlan probably signed on for 2 seasons and that was it for
Right.
him, and just because he wants to do other stuff. Um, but again, I don't know what do you think? I mean, you obviously posted the
I'm
question.
curious because, like you said, he's a great actor, and yes, maybe he did only sign on for 2 and whatever. But I also, it's not even so much about him faking it. I'm curious. She shut down the mainframe. So if she did, how is whatever button he pressed supposed to do anything anyway? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's a
Is
good
that
point.
what is it
Yeah.
connecting to? So I don't know. I don't know. Like, and what would his reason be to fake it? Like, is he looking to like get away and continue his research elsewhere or whatever, or is he trying to get to the enclave? Or I don't know what it would be. I just as soon as I had this thought in my head, I'm like, it's entirely possible that because he had all of these scenarios ready to go. The man's 200 years old. He's figuring it out. He's trying to get his,
Hmm.
he's he's very resourceful. So I don't know. I think that the possibility exists, that he faked it, but I also think that there's the possibility that nothing happened and he pretended. Do you know what I mean? I just don't know how anything would have happened if there's no mainframe to connect it to. I don't know. So that's it. If it did work, then they have, the makers of the show have some splaining to do. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Again, yeah. How did it work when we
Mm,
saw it stop working? That's a very good
yeah.
question.
And I just wanted to chat for a hot second because we brought it up, I think last week and the week before, a little bit. I've started talking a little bit about how we were confused about the scene from season 1 with Coop and with Janie, and if they make it to a vault, how did that happen? Because Coop was with Janie when the bombs fell, and how, and you know now that we're seeing that they worked together to do it, like, what is this? What is that scene mean? Like, how did it? So I went back and I watched that episode. I just watched the scenes with Coop and Janie, and I had some moments. I thought it was hilarious. The very first thing said is the radio says, negotiations were scheduled to continue today, and the White House had no comment about the president's whereabouts. Now, if we're to think that this is clearly post Coop having that moment in Vegas and handing off the diode, then the president hasn't been seen since then, and is kind of
Hmm.
missing. So I thought that was interesting, and something I didn't notice before. And then the two dudes are talking kind of right near Coop about him, and he says, "Why is Cooper Howard doing birthday parties?" And the other guy goes, "Why else? Alimony." And I don't
Hmm.
know if that's right, because you said they say alimony, and I think from that moment on we just assumed that there was a divorce. And again, it could be, and like you said, because of the whole like trying to distance from what Coop did with the diode, could that be the reason why there was a divorce in there, even though everything else shows that they were all still in love and etc. But I don't know, is that a rumor? Is he just making that up on the spot? Because if he was divorced and had to do it for alimony, like, wouldn't the other guy know? Was the other guy making it up? I don't know. But I
Yeah,
do love
yeah.
the moment too where he's Coop's trying to be nice, he's trying to keep things moving, and and they asked him to do the thumbs up, and he's like, yeah, I don't, considering the climate these days, I don't like doing the thumbs up anymore, you know. So he
Yeah,
doesn't want to be
yeah.
connected with it anymore. And then the two guys, the one guy goes, ugh, Pinko. And he's like, yeah, he
Pinko.
still took my money though.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
even though that he's not interested in, if he's a communist, then that means he's not interested in capitalism, but he still took this guy's money.
Hey, you know what? Even Pinko's
Yeah,
got to eat.
they got to
okay?
eat. They got to pay their alimony if there is an alimony check. But I still think that structurally, I don't like the scene, because, the bombs are falling, and he is with Janie, and so we don't know how that translates to Janie getting into a vault somewhere with Barb somehow in Vegas, which is very far away from Los Angeles, but by horseback. And so our final scene is, there's the one explosion and they all react because of it. But then as he's making his getaway, we see, poof, another one happens, and poof, another one happens even closer. And but you can see he's sort of like going down the hill, because obviously LA is just a series of all these like hills and stuff like that. So it's, you have to get down, into the valley to sort of get anywhere. And he's going down the hill, but the road is literally leading them closer to the explosions. So I kind of feel like if they'd shown him going away on the horse and then showed the explosions coming closer, I could mentally think, oh, he's going to be, riding as fast as he can away from these. But you literally see the visual. They add in the little CGI moment or whatever of a little horse going around the bend, and it's literally going towards where the explosions are. So I just, like, visually, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it looks cool, but I'm just going by, the storyline, too.
Maybe it helps explain how he became a ghoul.
Maybe.
He absorbed a bunch of radiation and, somehow shielded Janie from it, but he took it, and that's why he, turned all ghouly. You're right. They definitely need to give us a few more pieces of that puzzle, because it doesn't, we don't know what it is.
Right.
We're looking at it like, I'm not sure. Could be an elephant. It could be,
yeah.
It could be Marilyn Monroe. We don't know.
So let's just, before we wrap up, how do you feel about season 2 as a whole? Like, did you enjoy all of the season? Do you have a lot of questions going into season 3? How do you feel about it as a viewer?
I thought it was immensely entertaining. There's so many great funny moments in this show, and again, it's just because I'm cold and dead inside, so the dark humor really appeals to me, and so at all of this death and horror, I thought was hilarious. So I enjoyed it a lot. I thought the acting was great, and so many fun surprise cameos popped up in this where, you're like, hey, I know him, I know her. And that was fun. And I'm definitely excited and looking forward to next season, because like we were just saying, there's so many options of where they could go, and what the story's gonna evolve into, that I think it so far they've done a great job of translating the game into a show, and they've been very faithful to the game, which appeals to me as a gamer. And so I'm really enjoying the show a lot, and this was one of the better ones that I watched for the last year, I would say. So how about you? What'd you think?
It's funny. I agree. I really enjoyed the season. It's funny because there's been some chatter online about how I think the ratings are down a little. Not the critics saying like whether or not episodes worked or didn't work. I mean just the ratings in terms of viewership. And they've been kind of talking about how season 1 they dumped all the episodes at once, And then for season 2, they went week to week. This was a new thing this year. So that's one of the things going into season 3 is I wonder if when we do get season 3, are they going to dump all the episodes at once again? And do the whole like, hey, we learned from our mistake kind of thing. But we'll see. I think like most of the stuff I saw online was people were like, yeah, I'm waiting until it's finished and I'm going to binge them all together.
Right.
So yeah. So, we'll see. I thought it was a great season. I thought they did a great job of building off of where they started. Great character development, and things like that. I think the only thing that we have coming up in season 3 that I think needs to happen is we're starting to get to that point in, very Walking Dead-esque. There's got to be like a death or two. Woody is clearly gone at this point, but he wasn't really like a main character, but maybe something like a Steph dying, or maybe something happens to Chet in like the uprising, or what have you.
Well, Hank kind of died.
Yeah, he died on the inside.
Mm-hmm. He's still crunchy on the outside, but he died on the inside. Yeah.
So overall, though, character development, story development, learning more about the world, having them build off of the world they created in season 1, all of this inspired by the video game, and having all of these great things in season 1 and season 2 that play to all of these gamers, but also are so appealing even if you didn't play the game, and I did not play the game. So I love this world that they've built, and I know that the next season looks like they're going to expand into some newer areas. So I'm excited to see more about that. So I'm very happy with this season. I like that they went week to week, because for us as a podcast, it was great because we didn't have to worry about, people already know how the season, ended, when you're starting to talk about episodes 1, 2, 3, and they're like, yeah, but we already know how it ends. So I really enjoyed the format of the week to week. So I really hope they stick with it. I really, really do. They could improve upon the episode descriptions. But other than that, I would say I'm really looking forward to season 3 based on how they kind of left it. I know that they got an early order for season 3. They literally got the order for season 3 in the middle of the year last year. So they are doing like pre-production, getting started for like filming now for season 3. So based on that, we may see some season 3 stuff early in 2027. It's possible, which is great. It's really, really great for them to be able to turn that around. Even if it's mid to the end of 2027, that would still be really, really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, fantastic. I really liked this season. It was great because also experiencing it week to week last season, when we covered it after it had already dropped, and it had been a few weeks after.
No, months.
Yeah, that's true. It had been out for a little bit when we did cover it. So to cover it while it's still kind of topical was a newer thing for us, and it was really great to sort of, week by week by week, get people's feelings and thoughts on it every week. So yeah, I'm just excited for the next season. Excited to see where they go. Excited to see how they grow these characters. So yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Anything else that we didn't touch upon that you want to make sure we chat about before we take our break here?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about if I could. Which is the animated credits sequence at the end.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where they like it's again it's all animated, but it's like a drone shot, and it's moving through New Vegas and leaving town, and that thing I thought was really really fun was very prominently featured is a billboard, and it has like a mom and a dad and like a couple of kids or one kid, and they're all like dressed in outdoorsy kind of gear, and they're outside, there are trees and stuff, the forest is around them, and the on the billboard in big letters it says take your family to, and then it has three little dots, and then underneath it says the Rockies. And I thought that was really a lot of fun, because it's like, yeah, that's where he going.
That's where we're going. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was pretty sweet. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think with the take your family to the Rockies, I thought I didn't realize you meant the billboard. I thought we were still talking about the postcard. So I sort of jumped over it a little bit. That whole animation at the end was, they've all been so interesting and so cool. This one was a little dark though, because it looks like, the way I took it, I don't know about you, it feels like the NCR just did not last. It looks like the Legion is in charge of Vegas now. What do you think?
Yeah, it certainly did not look promising, but I don't know if that's supposed to be like after the bombs had dropped kind of time, or if that's immediately what we're watching now. You know what I mean? It's like,
That's
when
true. I didn't
are we
think of
seeing
that.
it?
Yeah.
So, but you're right. It did not look good for the the 30 or 40 NCR soldiers we saw enter the town. But I hope we're going to get resolution on that, and we won't just be yeah, they got wiped out. I would like to see a little bit more of how that happened. But
Yeah.
yeah, all the sequences that they've done I thought have been really interesting, and they do have Easter eggs in there if you look for them. So that I was reading a lot of stuff online about that, and I was like, oh, I did not know that. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I really like this one too, because they've all been kind of Easter eggy, but they've been like Easter eggy toward like whatever the next episode was. Like maybe there's a little tidbit in there that might be covered in the next episode. But in this case, it was, I was watching it and I'm like, so is this a tidbit that we're going to see next season? I wonder. Or is it just where, we're putting a cap on season 2 and we're ending it in a really negative light, Hey, by the way, New California Republic, they looked great about 20 minutes ago in the episode, but yeah, they don't make it.
They're all dead.
Yeah. which wouldn't be surprising. It was just like, I just also thought, they do such a great job with all those animations. I think it's such a great marriage between, the video game and the visual telling of the story of a video game, is to include this really cool sequence that's, animated. So it's kind of bridging those two worlds. I always think it's such a cool artistic choice to do that. You just don't see other TV shows making that kind of commitment, between making the title card completely different every week, and that takes time, and someone has to design it and animate it and make it happen. And then all of this is like a full minute and a half of animation that's got to be created. It's incredible. So it's been really great every week, and I really hope they keep it in. It's been fantastic. So,
yeah, I agree. Yeah. And the only thing I can think of is they have such incredible savings on the episode description department that they can afford to do all these things.
It's like they took a whole other writer and then employed someone who was an animator.
Right?
Yeah, and they were able to do all of this. It's fantastic. Well, good allocation of resources.
Exactly. I mean, most shows, the episode description department, I mean, that's like a $4 million budget right there, right?
Oh, for sure.
They have a staff of about 40 writers that are working tirelessly to come up with these really well-crafted episode descriptions, and the follow-up people are like, just get the intern to write something once a week. We're fine. All that money goes straight into the end credits. Let's go. So
hold our beer, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So all right. So if you don't have anything else to chat about,
Nope.
About the season, about anything? Okay, great. All right, well, folks, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to discuss listener feedback we got for this episode, and we're going to also talk about what's coming up on the podcast.
Yep. So please stick around, because we'll be right back.
Now there's about 20 of them out there.
What will we do?
Don't worry, we're safe in here. They'll never get in.
Why is it that in every zombie story, people always think that their safe haven is invulnerable?
I know. It's like, hello, the walkers are totally gonna get in. You better get ready for it.
No! Diane, get behind me. No, it's not stopping.
Do something, Jack!
And another thing, how come nobody in a zombie story has ever seen a zombie story?
Do you know how much time in human life would be saved if just one person in the group was up on the genre?
What do we do?
Aim for the head.
What?
Aim for the head.
You heard them. Aim for the head.
Quick, Diane, I think we should try and fix the barricades.
I think we should listen to them.
Now, that's the first good idea they've had all episode.
I still don't think they're gonna make it.
Aim for the Head, a horror apocalypse entertainment podcast. Join hosts Diana and Steve as they recap and discuss the best of horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and apocalyptic entertainment. Aim for the Head, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Find us on Instagram and Blue Sky.
Hi, I'm Ross Marquand, and you're listening to the Aim for the Head podcast with Diana and Steve. And remember, always aim for the head, because body shots just don't work.
Hey everybody, we are back. We're going to go ahead and jump right into our listener feedback that we received, 10 weeks ago when we were going to do this episode, and we had to, delay, which was clearly all me. But anyway, apologies for the delay, folks. I'm so glad that you sent in your feedback on time, and we were on time.
If I could, I would just like to point out that I was coming back from a trip, was completely ready to do this last week. So it was not me that said, "Oh my God, I can't do this on this particular night."
It was work. It was bad. I did not allocate my time appropriately. So, anyway,
I raced home from the West Coast,
liar.
Aboard my starship with the plans to save the rebellion, only to find out, it got pushed off.
We put off the rebellion.
Thank you so much.
We just postponed it a week. I'm not feeling rebellious this week. Can we be rebellious next week? That'd be great.
I think I'd be more rebellious.
I just wanted to push it forward a day, but Mr. Social Activity here was like, I'm busy this week.
Hey, I didn't. On Monday I was traveling, so that cut out a day of my week, and then I set aside Tuesday to podcast, which is what we had decided upon, and then that left me with only 3 days left in the week that I had to do the things I have to do, and then you threw a monkey in the wrench. That's all I can say.
I did. Ugh, unbelievable. Anyway, all right, so
see, people, these are the things I have to put up with on this show. I know. Okay, I'm just saying.
It's terrible. I don't know how you deal with it. Let's jump into our feedback then. First up, we got via the Facebooks. We got some feedback from our pal Karen. Don't call her Lauren Cohen. Hey, Karen.
Hello,
Thank you so much for sending in your feedback on time, even though I was not. So Karen's feedback on episode 8 was The Culk is back and ruthless. Love the Culkin. Thaddeus just waving his arm around, which we did. That's hilarious when he's just like, hey, hey, and he's waving the actual arm.
And then he spikes it on the ground to finally get their attention.
He's got this great note. Great. He's been carrying around 500 caps in his pant leg this entire time. I know. It seems unbelievable, but still hilarious. Ridiculous. Ronnie sucks. Agreed. I'm glad that good-looking asshole died. I love that they are just giving out drinks at the airport. Oh, good. Ant-Man is here. Ant-Man?
The sniper.
Oh.
Yeah, the NCR sniper. He had the red eyes, which kind of is the Ant-Man costume from the Marvel movies. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And she continues and says, oh, it's the NCR, and that lady is still alive, ?
Yeah, that's true. We didn't mention that. The two NCR people we met, we found out what happened to them. One of them got turned into a Hank zombie, and the other one is back in charge of the NCR.
Is. Continuing, she says, so did Hank have another wife and 2 kids while Stephanie was under? That's interesting. I don't understand.
Yeah.
He pressed the button on himself? Question mark. We debated that a little bit. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
We did.
I wanted just a little bit more from the Maximus Lucy reunion. I agree. I thought it was good, but they could have. Yeah. Anyway, I don't. Where are we? If his wife and daughter weren't in their pods, why were they closed and on? Dramatic effect? Question mark. Welcome to the wasteland. Perfect. I liked Lucy and the ghoul together, so I'm bummed that looks like it's over. I guess I had stuff to say this time, and I'm super on time. Cheers. You're more on time than you thought you were, Karen, because you were on time for the podcast last week, which means you're super duper on time for the podcast this week for last week.
And Karen, she did not just mean to call you a moron. I just want you to know that.
See, people, this is what I have to deal with.
See?
Thanks.
A match made in heck.
Yeah, absolutely. Holy shirt balls. Thanks for writing in, Karen, on time, and giving lots of thoughts. I think she's pointing out the fact that the week before she sent in like a sentence, and it was still adorable. So thanks for writing in and giving us multiple sentences and doing it on time. We appreciate it, Karen. Yeah. We look forward to hearing from you when we start covering our next show. Maybe you'll write in. We'll see.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I would just say that her line about the drinks at the airport, that I think a lot of people, particularly of the younger generations, really have no concept of how bougie air travel used to be. That you and I have a remember of, like, when we were kids, it was first of all way more lax in terms of security, and things. And it wasn't this sort of like the flights are jam packed with every seat is sold out and you're crammed in these teeny little seats and, you can't move around. I mean, it's totally different experience where they literally would have the flight attendants walking around with the little, the little trays with the champagne for all the people in first class, and so on. I mean, it's totally different. I mean, there used to be airplanes that had like an upstairs in the first class where they had like a freaking bar. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah, it's, and I thought they did a good job of kind of hearkening back to that, for people with the money, you really got, taken care of it anyway. But it's just interesting that she's just like, wait, they just hand out drinks at the airport. It's like, you know what? They probably did.
It's a really good thing if you've never seen the Steven Spielberg movie with Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, Catch Me While You Can.
Catch Me While You Can, yes.
It's a really, really very accurate description and depiction of what air travel was like back in like the 50s, like that. So if you've never seen that, it's, first of all, it's a great movie. But second of all, it's
and true. It's based on true guys.
It's a really great representation of what the air travel is like, the fanciness and all that stuff. So super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and it was back at a time when people would travel, like you would dress up to get on the airplane. You'd wear like your church clothes, right? And now people are like wearing jogging shorts and flip flops and stuff.
It's funny, when we first got together, my wife and I, she has family that worked for United, and so she would occasionally be able to get, pre 9/11, they were a little more, generous with the family passes. And so she would be able to get some, family passes here and there. And the only thing was you had to fly on standby. It was no big deal. But occasionally you would be able to get bumped into first class. But back in those days, and this is only like 25 years ago, you had first class, you couldn't be in first class and wear like certain things, and I can't remember what it was, but there was a dress code for first class.
Shorts.
Yeah,
Probably
shorts
no
and stuff like that.
shorts.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
flip flops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yep.
So
Yeah, it totally
it's a
different.
way different
It was
vibe.
just a different thing. Yeah, and it's just kind of funny that Karen, that you brought that
Yeah.
up. So, and then the other thing I want to say is, the whole thing about he pressed the button on himself, and I think if you listen to us talking earlier, my response would be, did he? Because, did he? I mean, is it still working if she destroyed the
Yeah.
network? And so again, I'm hopeful that, like, when you brought that up, Dee, I got kind of excited inside because I'm like, oh, maybe that means Kyle MacLachlan will be
Yeah.
back and will be, more of Hank and not, zombie Hank.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to see. But amazing feedback as always, Karen. Thanks so much for writing,
Yeah.
man. That's
Thanks so
awesome.
much, Karen. We appreciate it.
Cool. All right, so moving on, our second piece of feedback came from our P1 listener, Miss Erica
Hello,
Price.
Erica.
Hello, Erica. How you doing? And she sent this via the Facebook. And she starts off by going, starting with the Legion and seeing their fate spelled out so eloquently, only to be beaten by Macaulay Culkin is a fantastic way to kick off the season finale. And I would point out, too, that he eats the letter,
I
the
love
note that the dude
It's so
wrote.
great.
That's how he's like, no one's ever gonna see this. I'm gonna eat
Yes.
it. So she goes on to say, Thaddeus hurting all the New Vegasers to safety with his disembodied arm is hilarious. Yes, I agree. I absolutely agree. And then she goes, whoa, Nelly, that's a lot of death claws. Yeah, I thought there was like 4. There had to be like
Yeah, no
20 of
kidding.
them, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot, and they kept coming. It was like a clown car full of death claws, right? So she goes on to say, so are all of Hank's minions super nice because Welch was super nice?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they take on her personality? I do. I think that's what Hank was kind of explaining,
Yeah,
right?
I think
that
so.
she had all of these, and he used some corporate acronym to spell out, like, she's like the perfect personality choice or something. I can't remember what it was, but she was, and he spelled them out. She was, nice and courteous and well-meaning and like kind of spineless or something, all these qualities, which is exactly how all those workers
Right.
were. So I think that somehow the computers were pulling all those traits from her brain and then beaming them into the chips that made them act that way. That's my thought, but again, we'll have to see. So she goes on to go, holy shirt balls, I jumped when she came to life. Yeah, me too. Grr. And then the whole, oh, you're alive.
Yeah.
Kinda. Then she goes, oh no, rad roaches. Yay, Norm is safe. Kinda. And then she goes, yep, Welch is the template. What a sad existence. Yeah. So Erica agrees with my thought
Yeah.
there, that that's what they kind of explained. Hank, you bad man. That's your daughter. I think she's talking about how he was going to chip her. And I said chip, people. Then she goes on to say, Ghoul saves the day. Yep, that's what he did. He did come in at the right time. Seeing Lucy at this moment, what happens to Hank now? Good question. How did he escape the handcuffs? We don't know. If Welch was destroyed, how does he still have control over his minions? See, you're asking
all the right questions, people.
That's right. That the important people in this podcast were asking. So there you go. She goes on to say, Maximus. So the keepsake box holds a special Enclave Pip-Boy? Interesting. I'm so glad Norm and Claudia survived the buds. Hopefully they can make it back in time to help out Chet, because he's going to need it. Yeah, I agree. I think when everybody is chanting outside the door and they're saying, death to management, Chet kind of has that look of like, uh-oh, what did I do? On his face, like, this is going not where I wanted it to go,
Yes.
So yes, he definitely could use Norm at this point to help him out. I love how the word sin is highlighted as Lucy and Max look out over New Vegas. And I think it's because it said no signal or
Yeah.
something, right? And I thought that was kind of cool. The big screen says signal lost, but did you see House pop up for a second? I did. Yes, I did. Did
I
you
missed
see
it,
that?
but I'll see it when I watch it again.
Yeah. And yeah, it's real brief, and it just says signal loss, and then he just kind of like whoop, appears and is gone. So it's kind of lets you know that, oh, he's paying attention. The big screen says Ghoul and Dogmeat are off to Colorado. Yes, that's true. I can't wait to see the continuation of their story. The after credit scenes takes us back to the Brotherhood and their plans for a new type of robot. Yes, it's called Liberty Prime, and it's like 200 feet tall. It's super cool. It's like the Iron Giant. Think like that. Who is Quintus looking to destroy? The other factions? Maybe he just wants to like wipe out everybody. Who knows? Then she goes on to say, favorite moment of the season, and that was when Lucy, high on buff out, blasting away with perfect headshots all of the feral Elvis Kings, and the look of sheer admiration on the Ghoul's face. Yeah, that was a cool moment.
There was pride on his face. He was so proud of her.
Yep. Well, because, he suggested the best thing to do when you're high on drugs is take more drugs. So, and then she finishes it off by saying, I love this season as a whole. 10 out of 10, no complaints. The world is rich with many complex characters. The humor was still there, and the plot is interesting. And yeah, I concur on all of that, Erica. I agree. It was a very funny show. It was well written. The characters were great. The acting was great, and it had a good story. So yes, season 3, I cannot wait.
I really, really cannot wait. And I agree with what you said too when you were talking about probably the best show you've watched all year. I would say it's definitely, if it's not the number one, it's definitely in the top 3 of the shows I've watched in the last calendar year for sure. Yeah.
I totally agree. So, Erica, thank you so much for writing in. It was awesome as always. And just like Lauren, Karen, because she doesn't like to be called Lauren.
That's her cousin.
Yeah, that's right. That's her cousin, right? But anyway, just like we said to Karen, please continue to write in when we plunge into our Stranger Things coverage. Which, speaking of that, Dee, what do we have coming up?
Oh my God, what a way! That segue was amazing. You should get.
I am
you
a
are
professional.
you are
Okay.
Professional. What? I'm not sure, but you are certainly professional. So we've been we've been teasing it for a bit that we are going to cover the final season of Stranger Things, and we're going to take next week off. Give you a chance to sort of watch the episodes again, see how you feel about stuff, write your thoughts down if you want to binge all of it. If not, if you need time to watch episode 1 a couple of times, I know I do. So in 2 weeks' time, which will put us at March the 2nd, is when we're going to record episode 1. Title of that is Chapter 1, The Crawl. So get started on your rewatch. I'm going to throw a couple of social media posts up over the next 2 weeks to remind you to start your rewatch and make sure you're watching episode 1 again. I was telling Steve beforehand that I'm actually kind of excited because when I watched the episodes the first time, like the first 3, what was that, Thanksgiving, and then the other 3 were like some random time in December, and then it was like Christmas and then New Year's, right? Something like that.
Yeah, it was like right before Christmas, the next group, and then the last one was on like New Year's Eve or something.
But as those episodes were coming out, I made sure, like, while I was watching episode 1, if I had a thought or a realization about that episode that I wanted to remember, like in whatever it was, like a first thought, a first reaction, first feeling, I just opened up my notes on my phone and I just typed out something really quick for episode 1. And I tried to do that with, as soon as I had a thought or a feeling about the episode, like a question or especially if it was something that could potentially be answered in the next episode. So I still have those notes, obviously, because it was only like 3 months ago. So I'm excited because I took the time to do that. I can still approach some of my thoughts on each episode with a little bit at least a couple of points here and there that are, I'm not spoiled by future episodes, because ultimately it will be, because I've watched everything now, and so have you all, mostly. So hopefully you guys all follow us along as we do our coverage of Stranger Things. But again, reminder, 2 weeks from today, so come back and see us on March the 2nd, but we will send out reminders, we promise. So last weekend, Steve went on a little journey.
Well, two weekends ago.
Was it 2 weekends ago?
It was.
So,
because remember, we were going to record last Monday.
We did.
Or last Tuesday.
Yeah.
And
You're
I got
including
back.
this past weekend. Yeah. So it was like about 10 days ago, as it were.
Yes.
So you went to LA. Tell us all about it.
It was amazing. Being stuck here in the Midwest when it was, -10 for most of January. It was amazing to go out there where on Sunday it was like 79, which was unbelievable. Yes. This is a big Doctor Who convention called Gallifrey One. This is the 36th year it's been held. 36 or 37. 36, I think, next because next year is the Magnificent 37. The name of the show, they always give it like a clever name like that, and it's all things Doctor Who. They had some other sci-fi stuff there. Interestingly enough, there was a bunch of NASA scientists there talking about their various projects they're working on, probes and things. So a lot of hard science was as well. And super cool. Met a bunch of British people that I'm familiar with. If you're familiar with Doctor Who, you would know who some of them are. Probably the one closest I think that would penetrate mainstream American audiences is an actor, a gal named Freema Aghavar. Her last name I always get confused on. And she was with David Tennant on Doctor Who back in like 2007, 2008, maybe 2006. So a long time ago. And after that, she was on Doctor Who. She came over to America and she was on a couple of shows. She was on the Carrie Diaries, which was a Sex and the City prequel series that ran for a little while. And she was also on a medical drama called New Amsterdam, which I think ran on Fox maybe for 4 or 5 seasons. So she did have some mainstream American exposure. She was on some shows that people might have seen, but that's really it. Other than that, everybody who's there are people who have worked mostly in England. So yeah, it was, but super fun time. They're always super nice. It's a great show. And of course, much like the horror community, the Doctor Who fan base is exceedingly tolerant, nice people that you can just walk up to and start talking about, the costume they're wearing or the poster they're getting signed or whatever. And they are just very, very nice, normal, friendly people. So that makes it fun and enjoyable as well. So really good time.
Nice. Good. I'm glad to hear it. It's always good to have those good con experiences, especially if they're ones you go to over and over again. And the fact that they are able to make it fun and interesting every year for you guys. I mean, to go to a convention, going to conventions year after year after year here, when you don't have to travel as far, as one thing, but to, have to travel to LA for this one, that is like, that just shows how good of a show they put on, that you guys do that every year.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It's a very well-run show, but I think the reason we started going was that they in LA were able to get guests that, the Chicago Doctor Who show we go to in November just could never hold, so it's a chance to meet some of the bigger people, on the show that have gone on to do things, people like Catherine Tate, who was on The Office, and, she's a huge star in England and so on, getting people like her to show up, much easier I think LA's easier for them to go to than to come to Chicago. So, but it's a super fun weekend. It absolutely is. And it's great because you get to leave cold Midwest and go someplace where it's warm, and that's always fun too. So
nice. So speaking of conventions, we have been remiss in the last couple of weeks in mentioning that the first convention of the season for Chicago is coming up in just about 3 weeks, a little under 3 weeks.
I would. Yep, 3 weeks.
And it's the sort of there's two usually every year for Days of the Dead for Chicago. There's the spring one and the fall one, and it's not the fall one, so clearly it's the spring one. So, the big thing.
Well
I
said.
know I'm got away with words.
You are a wordsmith, my dear. That was amazing.
The big thing at this one this year is they have worked really hard to get as many people as possible. It's literally like everybody except like Lance Henriksen and Sigourney Weaver. And it's a reunion for Aliens because this year is the 40th anniversary of Aliens, the second movie. So it's Michael Biehn, it's all of the other folks from the
Jeanette. It's Michael Biehn, Jeanette Goldstein, who played Vasquez. It's Carrie Henn, who played
I'm
Newt,
very excited
mostly.
for Newt.
That's right. I'm going to have her write mostly on my poster. Cynthia Scott, who played Dietrich, who was the medic. Colette Hiller, who was Pharaoh, who was the pilot of the dropship. Rico Ross, who played Frosty. And then William Hope, who was Lieutenant Gorman. And then I think there's also a guy who played like an actual alien in the show. The costume.
Nice.
He was dressed up as the monster.
Awesome.
So one of those guys is going to be there. So yeah, I'm super excited to see these folks. It's going to be really cool. Then I mean, there's so many other guests. Robert Kurtzman and Howard Berger. So two of the three people from K&B are going to be there. All we need is Greg Nicotero, and we got them all, right? And we've met Greg Nicotero. Greg Nicotero gave us a thing about our podcast.
He told us
listen to it.
to fuck off. I mean, that's the best.
He did, and like Judge Reinhold is coming, from Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Gremlins and Beverly Hills Cop, and then there's a big Hellraiser
Yes, there is.
Group. There's Ashley Lawrence and Oliver Smith and Sean Chapman, and then Diane Franklin's going to be there. Paula Marshall's going to be there. So they do have some really fun, a large guest group. And I know you're super excited because they just added someone that we think is amazeballs.
You mean it doesn't get much bigger? They just announced, like a week ago, I think it was, something like that. Giancarlo Esposito is coming. This is huge. Yep. He's a huge get. And, I shared, as soon as they announced it, I shared right on that same convention page. He's such a fantastic guest. As long, you got to do it, you got to bring the respect and etc. But he is so friendly, so engaging, great stories. I really hope he's able to do a panel because it'll be fantastic. He's got such a long list of so many, tons and tons of things that he's done in so many really great genre things he's in things from like Captain America to The Mandalorian, but he's also in The Boys, and he appeared in Maxine, and he's on between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
That's his bread and butter.
Yeah.
But it's
and going all the way back to The Usual Suspects.
Yeah, he's been in so many great things. He's been in more than you think he has. So he's fantastic. We had such a wonderful time meeting him at C2. Was that Fan Expo, right?
It was
C2E2.
No, it was C2E2.
A couple of years back. Lovely.
2021.
Yeah, he was such a lovely person. He was so lovely to talk to. He was a great person to us. Gave us more than we asked for, and his panel that he did later that day at C2E2 was just, it was standing room only. It was such a fantastic conversation. So if you were local and you were on the fence about going, then this should definitely put you over the edge. He's such a great person. It'd be a fantastic just a fantastic person to meet after standing in line, and then a fantastic person to have a conversation with an audience. He's just a really, really great guy. I'm very, very. I'm always excited to go to this show anyway, but this is just put me over the moon.
So Diane is pro. Giancarlo,
I am pro Giancarlo. So it's
yes.
and I, like I said, without him, this Aliens reunion is fantastic. The amount of people that they got involved, and all these other folks, like you said, the Hellraiser people, the makeup people that work with, Nicotero.
Yeah.
It's just it's a really, really great mixture of people this year. So it was a great show anyway, and this just made it platinum show. Fantastic. All right. So anything else we need to chat about before we wrap this up?
The only thing I know we've been chatting forever, so I will try and be as brief as I can. I made the horrible rookie mistake of clicking on something on the interwebs, and now the algorithm goes, "Oh, we're gonna give you 8 million of those," and it was a Fallout thing.
Oh no.
And I would say most of them were are game related videos and things, but every once in a while something about the show will sneak in. And one of the things that I saw, there have been questions of how did Moldaver get to the 200 years after the bombs, right? And I want to say they said in the season finale of season 1. In the post-credits sequence that we talk about how great it is, right? With Easter eggs and things, when it's a drone shot and it's going through LA, you see a billboard and it's for some company offering cryopods that you can purchase, to survive the apocalypse or something. And so the point of this post was, people were saying, ever wondered how Moldaver was able to do this? It's because she invented cold fusion. Her company was bought out by Vault-Tec, so she had a lot of money. And so she bought a cryopod and was able to program it when to wake her up, when the surface conditions were survivable, right, where the radiation has gone down and so on, and that's why she emerged when she did. So, and I'm like, it works for me, and I think it's a pretty good explanation. And again, it kind of goes back to what we're saying, that post-credits thing, there's all kinds of little nuggets in there if you're paying attention. So that might be the answer to that mystery. So
well, there you go.
Anyways, wanted to point that out. So
nice. Interesting. All right. Well, good information. Good to know. Stop clicking on stuff and it won't be in your algorithm.
Oh no. I mean, my feed, it's like every other post is a stupid Fallout thing, and I'm like, oh, son of a.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
I think I shared something from our podcast page onto my personal page, and it had like a Fallout hashtag. So then something ended up, and then I was stupid enough. I was like, oh, that T-shirt looks really cool. Forget it. Now it's over.
Oh, no.
And so I had the same thing for a little while, but it was mostly merchandise and stuff like that. But still, I was like, it has to stop. So you just don't engage for like a week or two, and eventually it'll start to slowly go away. Or click on other things to train it. Like, no, I don't want that. I want this other thing. So yeah. Anyway, enough about algorithms.
Too late.
Thanks so much for coming along this week, folks. Once again, we'll see you again in 2 weeks to talk about the first episode of the final season of Stranger Things. But until then, as always, I'm Diana.
And I'm Steve.
Don't forget to always aim for the head.
'Cause the body shots, they just don't work.
To send us an email, write us at aimfortheheadpodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @AFTH Podcast. Pictures and video are always welcome at our Instagram account, Aim for the Head Podcast, all one word. But the best way to keep in touch with us is to just like our Facebook page to get all of our updates in your feed.
Oh my God, woman. woman, what is your problem?
I know.
I'll tell you.
It's like
I mean,
it's like I'm trying to get work done when I'm working. Ugh.
I just this working at home thing with you, it's just not working.
It's not working
I'm
for
sorry.
you. It's
No,
not.
no, it really isn't. Okay.